Okay, adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt? Moved by Gillette, supported by Brown. Please vote on your iPad. Motion passes 12-0. Approval of the minutes dated May 16th, 2018. Is there a motion? Moved by Duje, supported by Myjack. Questions? Please vote on your iPad. Motion passes 12-0. Public participation. Does anyone wish to be heard? Anyone wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close public participation. Presentation, commending Polly Helsner upon her retirement from the Macomb County Purchasing Department, and I'm going to hand it over to Chair Smith.
Polly, will you join me?
If you pour another one.
I have another one.
Got it. How are you? Well, normally, I read just a few lines out of these things because normally people are here for 20, 25 years, but
I know.
54 years of dedicated service to the county.
I started when I was 5.
You must have. You must have. That's when they didn't have child labor laws back
Right.
then, right?
Training program.
Yes. So normally I just read a few of these, but I would say your career deserves a few more of these to be read. So
Oh, thanks.
Listen, you don't scare me as much as you used to, I have to
Right.
say. I'm sure many of these folks will say the same thing, that when you first meet Polly, you listen to what she says. Now, you still listen to what she says, but you realize she says it in such a way that you kind of like listening to what she says. We all love you here, and we have for the whole time. I know some of these commissioners have known you a lot longer than I have, and I'll never forget you calling me one of the troubled Smith brothers.
Yeah.
So So let me just start.
No, your brother was
He's
the
a trouble.
bad
I'm
one.
the good,
Yeah.
right.
He's
Yeah.
a spoiled brat.
You hear? I'm the nice one. Remember.
Yeah, and I tell him.
I will forward this meeting to him.
Yes.
All right, so I'm sure a few other commissioners have some things to say. So let me read this. This is kind of,
Okay.
we're going to give you the real one after we do it tomorrow, but you couldn't make it tomorrow, so we kind of give you a preliminary proclamation here.
Okay.
Whereas Macomb County Board of Commissioners would like to commend Polly Hauser for 54 years of dedicated service to the Macomb County Purchasing Department. And whereas Polly Hauser began her career with Macomb County on July 7th, 1964. From her start in a clerical role, Polly used her strong work ethic to climb to the top and worked her way up to the purchasing manager of the department. Polly has exuded leadership and tenacity among other qualities during her successes in this role throughout her 54-year career. And where Polly has proven she has intense dedication to her career and to Macomb County, and also extends to those who she works with and interacted. When a friend, family member, or co-worker is ill, Polly's always ensured that they have a shoulder to lean on or a bowl of hot soup to sip. Her kind-hearted demeanor and willingness to help anyone in need has always made her known as a person to call in the middle of the night with any problem. I'm sure you're still going to get those calls.
Oh, yeah.
For quite a while. Showing her generosity and kindness to the people in her life is not where Polly stops. She's also an avid animal lover and has kindly adopted several rescue and stray animals over the years and helped out others when they have found themselves in situations where they became unable to keep their animals. And whereas Polly has also been known for having a green thumb, she won the right.
County from Mount Clemens.
Yes. She won the Mount Clemens Beautification Committee Yard of the Year award so frequently that she was placed on their Hall of Fame. They had to give it to someone else.
Right.
So they just put you on the automatic winning category. Polly plans to pursue her various passions and will undoubtedly continue to share the same kindness and generosity to all in her retirement. Her go-getter attitude she's been so well known for is sure to carry over into continuing with old and beginning new pursuits and goals going forward. So, on behalf of all the Board of Commissioners, we'd like to present you with this proclamation on your retirement, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We're all going to miss you. We
It
love
was
you.
a fun ride, you guys. To you.
So, I'm sure a few commissioners might have a few things to say. I'm going to take, do you want to, can we take a picture? All right, let's take a quick picture. Come on.
Where?
Let me get all my, over there.
Over there?
Yes.
We have cameras now. And then you won't get Romano in it. Easy killer.
And we do,
You have the microphone, and I'm sure maybe.
yeah, we do have commissioners that would like to speak too, so. No, if you don't want to say anything, we've got commissioners that want to speak to you, so it's up to you. Okay. Okay, we'll start with Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. Paul, you've been a huge asset to the county. Your practices and your tenacity about making sure the processes are followed were a lesson I learned early on from you when I went up to your office and thought I knew everything about purchasing and why things weren't being done right and how come things weren't being bid out right. And I got a little bit of a lesson that she kind of chewed my ass off, to be honest with you. But I've learned since then. And another thing that you don't get credit for, maybe people forget about, is the auction. That we take it for granted now because it's been going on for so long, and it's been so well run. But that's something else that you've have done that's really brought out a lot of saved some money and really added some value to the county and added some money to the bottom line, especially during tight budgets. So you've just done a remarkable job, and you've been always there to give us information, when we ask for it in a timely fashion. Have to bug you or call you twice or drag your feet. And on a more fun note, we said those pension board meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning or 7:30 over at the Road Commission office with our friends from the Department of Roads, the Road Commission then. Those are some interesting times too. And so I've known you a long time. You're definitely worthy of an enjoyable retirement. And we can bring you back as a consultant after you retire. That'd probably be a good thing too. So take care, Brian. I really appreciate it. You've been a friend. I appreciate all the help you've been to me through the years.
Thank you. Commissioner Duge?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, Helzer, what are you going to do now for an encore?
I'm gonna be in my store, the antique store I have.
Uh-huh.
A couple of days a week. Not gonna be rich.
They
but
were
gonna
new when they
have
came.
fun.
Well, they were new at one point of time. Nevertheless,
Yeah.
Polly, you've
New
done
and
a
used.
tremendous job in purchasing,
Thank
and it's believe me, I know it's a pain in the neck job because everybody reads a request for a proposal differently. You've been here through thick and thin. You have seen incredible changes here at the county. You've been a part of a lot of almost all the positive changes that have happened here. From the bottom of my heart, can't thank you enough for all of your hard work. Commissioner Brown had it right with the auction and everything else.
Yeah,
And
and we sat on the pension board.
well, now hopefully you can enjoy something that goes along with
Yeah.
that. thank you very much. It's been a riot. You made this job a lot of fun. Thank you for all your help and all your hard work. God bless. Many more years to come. Nice to see you walking out versus getting carried out.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Real quick, we all know you've done a great job here. We're very sad to see you go, but happy that you get to move on. But later on, we want you to come back and tell us more about the Smith boys. I think that's something
Oh,
we'd all
boy,
like.
I got stories.
Oh, we want to hear them all, so I will be getting back in touch with you on that. But in seriousness, in the future, your future, I wish you nothing for the best. On behalf of all
Thanks.
the residents, that proclamation that we represent here, the entire county, we're thanking you on what
Thanks.
you've done here, and God bless you in your future. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. I don't see, Commissioner Myjack.
Polly,
Yes.
thank you very much
That
for
young
your
whippersnapper when he came in here and he
Yeah.
first started.
thanks for your years of service. It's funny, you go out and look on the wall from the Board of Commissioners that goes back to when it started as Board of Commissioners. She knew you were around when they were the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
So you've seen 3 different form of governments in Macomb
That
County.
Sherwood Bennett hired me
You know,
back
and,
in 1964.
and
So
technology
the day,
wise,
yeah, the day I'm coming in is the day I'm going out, 54 years later.
I want to hear from you though. What was it like here with a Board of Supervisors? Can you let us know about that history and what it was like when you were in the time of Mad Men, where there was just no computers and pushing
Oh,
paper?
God,
and
yeah.
Would you share any stories with
It
us
was
about
a Xerox copier, and everything was written by hand. All the invoices and everything written by hand. Wasn't nothing computerized at all. And the old copiers, oh my God, what we got today, it's unbelievable. And then it moved to supervisors and then commissioners.
What was it like with the Board of Supervisors?
They were okay. I didn't have to go to them. Only you guys.
Okay.
You were the trouble ones.
Okay, all right.
But we had a lot of fun in the old, when we had the old style. It was really great.
And there were 80 supervisors, is that right? That's quite a
don't-
few back then, I think.
Yeah, they were okay.
Okay, well, good. Sorry, we're
They
not
didn't
as
give
good
me a
as
hard time.
you know. Thanks again for your years of service. Happy retirement. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Thank you, everyone. It's been a joy working here. You know, I sat on a pension board for 12 years. I was a union president for 10 and just kept moving up. So I had a lot of bosses. One of my favorite was John Shore, was my very favorite. And this man sitting right here. Second. It's only a quarter. But thank you very much. It's been fun. A nice ride.
Thank you, and I have to tell you, you've been here so long that Marv was only 50 years old when you came on board. So thank you very much. Okay, so the next agenda item is purchasing a Ricoh Pro C7100S production printer, and we'll call up the youngest member of our staff, Polly, and her assistant purchasing manager, Jeffrey. Before you speak, let me go ahead and see if I get a motion to approve. Okay, moved by Toko, supported by Commissioner Romano. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, okay. We're here to purchase this big copying system, color black and white, for the print shop. The copier we have now is over 7 years old, over 5 million. The one we're buying now is new technology. We print a letterhead that's for planning in
Well, it's
their
ba-
office?
Basically, the county letterhead.
Yeah.
That we have to outsource at this time because we can't run a copy through the same machine twice. This machine will allow us to run a copy through twice, so we can do things like letterhead that we had to farm out in the past. So there's savings there. We can do higher quality
Improvement.
business cards. We can do business
Heavier.
cards with a heavier card stock. We can do a lot of planning jobs that we would normally not be able to do, that we would have to outsource.
Okay. This, we're buying it off the Michigan My Deal. The My Deal is where the state bids out various items and counties, townships, cities can buy off of their contracts. So we're buying from Rico, who got the contract from the state. And the system that we're getting rid of was a system that nobody would buy. So we just sat on it for a while until Rico came back and offered to give us $2,500 for it. Yay, take it out the door. And they gave us a better discount.
Okay, I don't, Commissioner Douche.
Just a quick question. Who's doing, is there a contract for upkeep or update or
When we
on this
entered
thing?
into a contract with the copying system, we pay for the copies, everything else is included. You want toner, you just call, you get it. We pay outright for the copying system.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
And
Okay.
we depreciate them over 5 years. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote on your iPad.
Better not.
You will be eliminated.
Motion passes 12-0. Thank you very
Thank
much. Okay, Finance Department 2018 first quarterly report. First, I'll get a motion to receive and file on this. Moved by Carabelli, supported by Gillette. He doesn't have a big presentation per se. He just said if there's any questions, he'd be happy to answer them. I don't see any questions. Okay, hold on. I think one will be showing up. Yes, Chair Smith.
Hi, Steve.
How far in the hole are we?
I just have a question for you regarding, we've just been talking about this, and we haven't discussed this since then, so this is probably going to be just something to move us into a further discussion, but we talked about the bond last time, $20 million bond, and we didn't include that in the budget, but we thought about talking about it this year. I just want to make sure we're not getting to any kind of point that you see right now where we're falling into trouble by not discussing that bond.
No.
and work.
If you look through here, you'll see revenues are tracking, I'm talking more specifically about the general fund. Revenues are tracking right where they were a year ago, right where I would expect them. More importantly, on the expense side, personnel expenses, which are by far our largest expense category between salaries and benefits, is tracking below 25%, right around 23%. So we're on track. I don't have any concerns at this point that we're going to have any deterioration or significant deterioration of our fund balance.
Okay, and just then out of curiosity, are we going to talk more about the potential for the bond just at next budget season, or do you see that being a discussion that we need to have before looking into next year?
Combination of both. I would
Okay.
think in the fall, probably around budget time.
Okay.
We need to talk about the projects and internally and
Right.
getting, architects and quotes and
Okay,
architects, schematic designs and things like that, so.
all right, okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I do not see any other speakers, so please vote on your iPad. Motion passes 12-0. Okay, and I have department recommendations: A, budget amendment, Finance Department, fund position, 1 financial officer. Again, Mr. Smeagol, before we have him speak, is there a motion to approve? Moved by Duge, is there support? I missed that. Oh, support by Kraft. Okay,
Yeah, so again, this is a position that was requested in last year's budget, during last year's budget cycle for this year. And what I'm requesting is the additional one financial officer in my office. And the kind of the genesis of this position goes back to the days when we had an internal audit division. And over time, that division's kind of morphed into more of a but not necessarily internal audits. We've kind of separated them into other functions in the finance office. This particular position still does some work for equalization. It also helps out during the audit. It will do internal control reviews if a department requests one. But more importantly, over time, it's become very involved in the support of our financial management system. So the person that's currently occupying that position was on the implementation team back in 2003 with myself and 4 other people in the finance department, a couple people from IT. The person also helps out and supports the HR side of the system in terms of if we need new codes or new pays or something like that. We also put on training in my office for new users, so when folks come into the county, they get a flavor for how to get information out of the system in terms of budget to actuals and things like that. So the person that's in that position today has been here 32 years. So I expect that person to kind of retire, within the next year. So the idea is to get someone in the door to be trained before that person leaves, so we kind of hit the road running, and then we'll reevaluate the vacant position at that point. We're still going to need an extra position for various things. We're becoming more automated, which unfortunately seems to be adding work, but at least on our end. But the idea, again, is to fund a position today, get the person in the door, and then when the person that's in the position now leaves, then evaluate whether we could need that position or we can lower it or something like that.
thank you. Commissioner Gillette?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Steve, thanks for that explanation. So you've got somebody currently doing the job. You anticipate that decent chance they'll be leaving in the near future. Would it be more sense to just sort of kind of cross-train a variety of folks in the office, and then if that person does leave, promote from within and hire somebody at a lower level to fill that, kind of move everybody up? Does that make sense? Rather than
Yeah, we're
budgeting
looking
a
for a
person
little bit different skill set than what my financial analysts particularly have, someone with more of a technology end
Okay.
coming in. And the financial analysts are busy enough as they are, kind of, to not be able to necessarily take on the additional work. They do a little bit, but we really need an extra position. We really need that.
What happens if this person doesn't retire for 4 more years?
I don't really expect that to happen, based on conversations I've had.
Yeah, we have 22 more years to worry about it.
Yeah, this particular, been here for a long time. He's 62. But my conversations with him are that that's pretty imminent within the next year. If he doesn't leave, we'll need a position at some point in time for other
Right.
support functions, and we may be able to downgrade it again a year later or 2 years later. I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next year, but
I mean, it
We're in
seems like a little strange to be adding a person to add more personnel in anticipation somebody's going to leave soon. Why, we could wait till they leave and add the person and, have
yeah,
the old
the
person
learning
train
curve
for
for
a few
this
months.
particular position is a little bit steeper than other positions, like a regular accounting type of position, because of the technical nature of the accounting system. Is really where that's being driven.
Okay.
Normally, if I anticipated a fiscal analyst retiring, I wouldn't necessarily ask for a fiscal analyst ahead of time to train. It's just the particular skill set for this particular system in supporting it is such that it's very advantageous to have someone kind of ready to go when someone leaves. It's more of a succession plan than it is anything else.
Okay. So if the person leaves, that you anticipate leaving, and we hire this person, does that mean we now have another vacancy because we've we created 2 spots in that office.
Yeah, we're adding a position.
Right.
In anticipation of someone leaving, then we'll reevaluate that position to whether we need it, or if we do need it, it may be in a smaller classification, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carabelli?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Steve, each time through the chair, somebody had come up and asked for a position. We, you know, it was a broken record. The commissioners, you know, knew exactly what I was going to say, how I was going to say it, and what I was going to say. And on that note, last night I received an email from Deputy Executive Mark Delden, and he attached a letter from the head of HR, which answered all the questions that I had asked about the compensation study and how the pay fell in, and also the classification and how these positions fell in. And I'm satisfied with the response that I had received. I just wanted to let the board know and let everybody know I'll be voting in favor because those questions were answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Smith?
Thank you. First of all, I just to your point about needing to get someone in, there are quite a few positions that need someone to come in to train before the other person leaves, because otherwise it may take a year before they're up to speed on where they should be. So I do agree, and that your department better than anybody, that it's beneficial to have that happen to keep things moving. Let me just ask you a question. Was this requested last year in the budget?
It was.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask this to you now, but so I don't ask it every time like Commissioner Carabelli, just for the whole gamut of positions that are in front of us that you see. I just want your answer to this, and I can only assume that the answer is yes, since you're here in front of us asking. But being the financial officer for our county, you see these positions being sustainable in our budget for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
And I mean, I wouldn't imagine you'd bring
Yeah.
them here any other way, but I just would like
I do.
to
Yes.
hear that. And I know that we've had discussions before that the only reason I was holding off on the positions was about the class and comp study. So I'm going to be in support of this. As for next year, new positions, we should probably discuss a little bit beforehand. But this one I made a promise that I would be for if everything worked out right. And based on everything we've heard, we're fine. So thank you.
Thank you.
You'll pass? Okay. Thank you. I see no other speakers, so please vote on your iPad. Okay, thank you. Motion passes 11-0. Moving to item B, budget amendment, finance fund position reclassification from 1 junior fiscal analyst to fiscal analyst, and 1 contract/grant support specialist to support specialist. And this is also our Director of Finance, Steve Smeagol. I'll first seek a motion. Is there a motion? Why don't we have you speak to it? Okay, moved by Brown, support by Lucido. Okay, go ahead.
So I'll talk about the junior fiscal analyst to fiscal analyst upgrade first. So currently, we have a structure in my office where we have a fiscal analyst 2, 3 fiscal analysts, and a junior fiscal analyst. So you can think of a junior accountant, an accountant, and a senior accountant, sort of a thing. Again, the junior fiscal analyst position at one point was an auditing position, and so what I'm trying to do here is upgrade the junior fiscal analyst to a fiscal analyst. They all essentially do the same type of work, and so I want to upgrade the person who's in that position today. She's doing a great job. She's doing exactly what the other 4 positions do, and again, unknown for sure, but the person who currently occupies the junior or the fiscal analyst 2 position has been here about 34 years. So when that person leaves, we will redline that position and downgrade it to a fiscal analyst. So I'll have a pool of 5 fiscal analysts because they all essentially do the same thing. So that's the the story on that particular reclassification. The other one, again, goes with the support of the financial management system. So this is upgrading a person who was basically monitoring or helping out with the routing of contracts and tracking of contracts. She's very technically savvy. She has turned into a right-hand person for Tom, who is the financial officer that I was speaking about earlier, and is of great assistance to him in maintaining the accounting and payroll system. So, again, in recognition of her skills and her technological, skills, we're proposing to upgrade her to the level of a senior or administrative secretary, is what that pay grade is at. Again, she's a great employee, very deserving, of course, of the $4,800 increase.
Okay, so I'm going to open it up with Commissioner Gillette.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Steve. How are we doing big picture in the finance office as far as the budget for your department? Is it going with the addition? If these changes are made, is your office payroll, salaries, and personnel costs going up at what rate? I guess you're not probably prepared to give me that answer now, but in the budget process, one thing I'm trying to look at is how we doing compared to the rate of inflation, how we doing compared to other markers. So it's hard to know when we're adding on these individually how that fits into the big picture. And I guess one of the things that I oftentimes think about is just in general in the economy, in many sectors, people are able to do more with less due to technology. So there's fewer farmers than before. There's fewer people working on the factories than before because there's more and more economies of scale, and yet it seems like it's a challenge in government. It seems like we never get fewer than we do in all the other sectors. So I guess I like to keep a look at the big picture. How are we doing in the finance department with regard to our personnel costs there over the last few years, and are they
I
going?
can tell you over the last few years,
Okay.
we're doing very well. At one point in time, we had 27 positions. I now have 20, if you will. So we had reductions through attrition and those sorts of things. If
Related
you look
to
in the
the
budget, we have
recession, I
22. Two of those came from risk management, which at one point in time was an office in and of itself.
Okay.
But at one point, we had 27 just finance folks. That went down to 20, and so I'm adding one, basically. So salary-wise, in terms of percentage increase to the budget, has been basically nothing, other than normal salary increases.
Okay, that answers my question.
Yeah.
Thank you. It would be ideal, though, and not just you, but any department coming up asking for personnel, if we had like a little snapshot of.
Right, and I'll go back to the financial officer. That person also, we would hope, would have some skills in maybe the public accounting arena that would help us out with internal control reviews. We did one last year in the clerk's office, for example, and that was brought forward to you folks. So there's a little different skill set with that position than the regular fiscal analysts, or kind of more traditional accountants versus more consulting, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, Steve. Steve, both of these employees, how long have they been with us, each one of them?
The junior fiscal analyst has been in my office 3 years, maybe. She was at the clerk's office prior to that. She has public accounting experience from several years ago, and then she took some time off out of the workplace to be a stay-at-home mom, came back into the workplace. The contract and grant support specialist, I don't know exactly how. She's been in my office probably 6 years. She was in the sheriff's office for a while doing kind of similar technological, support kind of a thing. So I don't know exactly how long she's been with the county in total. Fair amount of time, though.
Okay, so with the 3 years and 6 years, when was the last time they had a pay raise?
The junior fiscal analyst is at the pay range that she hired in at.
Okay, that was for 3 years she's had
and
that.
The contract support specialist, I think that's where she hired in at too, I believe, if I recall.
So she's been at the same pay grade for the
Yeah.
last 6 years?
other than moving up through our step grades.
I'm talking about money, dollars.
Yeah, the
Salary.
maximum I don't believe has changed.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I do not see any other speakers, so please vote. Okay, the motion passes 12-0. Next, we have a budget amendment, purchasing department fund position 1 mail services clerk. Now, I have Steve on here, but we've also obviously got Polly here if there are questions. So first, let me see if there is a motion for this. Moved by Leonetti, support by Kraft. Okay. Do you want to speak to it, or, okay, go ahead.
Basically, the position has evolved. We've got a lot more buildings spread out, and we had to add a secondary route to cover the downtown loop since the mailroom is no longer centralized. So with that, and only 3 people, we have to cancel the mail, as you are aware if you look at your emails, more often than we would like to, and this is to help prevent that and keep the services going.
Thank you. Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to ask the question because I don't know. One main, is that where all the mail, U.S. mail comes to, then it gets distributed to the other departments? Or are we talking?
It was all coming to the county building at 10 Main, but after we had the fire, we set up shop and we've been operating out of the warehouse at Vic Wertz. So all of the mail comes to Vic Wertz.
Okay. I'm asking again because I don't understand. So if what's over at the HR, the building, what's it called? Talmer Building,
Talmer.
and then next
That's
door
a
is the
new-
clerk's building. Are they getting direct mail, or does it all come into one place? Then
No, it
gets-
all comes into one place.
They sort it.
It's sorted and gone, batched and out on the road along with interoffice, interdepartmental mail. We also have that to bring back and sort.
Okay, all right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown.
Polly, since you're up here, I've one very many times asked you tough questions, but back in the day when you used to use carrier pigeons to move the mail around, do you think there could be consideration about doing that again?
What do you say?
He said back in the day they used carrier
Yeah,
pigeons.
right.
Can we go back
Yeah.
to that?
We used to have the mailroom on the 12th floor
I know.
in the beginning of time.
When you had all that extra space. We had all that extra
But it's
space.
because of all the projects that's getting done here. The campus has expanded where we can't cover it like we want to with all the new buildings added. The county building has all those floors where it's separated. So, and you've seen where mail has been canceled because we don't have the backup. Somebody's sick, we gotta shut something down. Because don't forget, we go out to the courts too,
Yeah.
and to Van Dyke,
Yeah,
Majestic.
Southeast Health
Yeah.
and Southwest Health, Romeo Court. New
How
Boston.
about scanning it and just emailing it rather than just
What, email, get out of here.
scan it?
I like that for an answer.
That's what I used to get. I don't get any respect.
Yeah,
Thank you, Polly. I appreciate
I'll
it.
kiss the ring later.
Got to kiss anything,
Thank you.
Wally.
Commissioner Gillette.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks.
Aha,
Uh-oh. So
make it.
I can't imagine what the volume of mail is coming into one central location for all. And I'm sure that certain things like deliveries to courts obviously would be a very high priority, I would imagine.
Yes.
And
Clerk's
there,
office, priority,
yeah, there's got to be certain
vital
priorities.
records.
Right. couldn't we like deprioritize a few different things? Like if we don't get our mail except 3 days a week, so we can keep the priorities on the high priority necessities and just sort of downgrade the mail service.
No.
Because I know that, there is a lot of things that are now taking place electronically.
Yeah.
Not everything is, obviously. But why couldn't we prioritize and say that, okay, the courts and vital documents got to go first, but we're going to mail 3 days a week to this other department or something?
I would counter that with, we've got the treasurer in this building, we've got the executive in here, we've got HR, so we're already coming to this building. We would be adding an additional route to come back here twice if you prioritize and do it a different way. We would have to cancel a route, because when we cancel, we cancel it by route. We've got an AM route, we've got a PM route, and we have what we call a downtown loop.
Yeah.
So that PM route is kind of already, I guess it's filling that need of like a less of a priority. That's the first one that we would cancel if in the event that we have to.
Okay.
So we always try and catch these buildings downtown and then do the morning route. That's probably the crux of the delivery.
Well,
And a lot of
just-
the outliers are in the afternoon.
I don't know how every place else operates, but I imagine that places, companies still don't have running around with bags of mail. I would imagine they've automated to a fair degree. At least that's how I envision it. But
Well, it'd be nice if you went out to the warehouse and took a look at it.
yeah, I probably would be scared if I did.
Right, you would be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I do not see any other speakers, so please vote. The motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Gillette voting no. Okay, item D, waived item, budget amendment, Parks Fund Position 1, Maintenance Supervisor, and I'm going to call up Chief, No, it's gonna be, yes. Deputy Executive Delden, please come up.
Thanks. Just a little bit of background, and we asked for this back during budget review back in the fall. A little background for those of you that maybe were not on the board, have not been here since 2012. So the Freedom Hill Park and the theater, the concert theater, was shut down, I think, in 2009. I could be wrong on the exact year. It was shut down for a couple of reasons. I think the Board of Commissioners had entered into litigation with the operators of the concert theater over some various issues. And the other thing was, during the budget cuts back in 07 or 08, the board had reduced the full-time staff that was out there year-round. There was a staff of about 7 or 8 people that were employed by the county, and they worked there year-round. So the park was pretty much shut down. We did reach resolution with the concert operators back in 2012, and that's when the park opened, the concert theater opened. But we also opened up the park so that we could start to have festivals and other types of events at the park. So as far as the concert operators, they only have rights to what's inside the fenced-in area where the theater is itself and the concession areas. Everything outside the fenced-in area is the responsibility of the county, and now kind of falls under our facilities department. We've been fortunate in that the people that are operating the theater, other than making like a couple of $1 million worth of improvements to the amphitheater and the concession area at their expense, they also, we have a beverage contract with these same operators, and the county generates about $40,000 a year from leasing out Independence Hall. Well, they wanted to use it for showers and weddings, and the operators of the concert theater invested about $150,000 of their money, not county money, to do some interior renovations and remodeling to the inside of the banquet hall, and I'm sure most of you have probably seen it. It looks much improved, and it was at no expense to us. Just recently, in the pavilion area of the park area, the operators of the theater put in all new LED lighting. Now, we pay the electricity out there. They put in all new LED lighting, got rid of the old lighting that was in the pavilion area, the 2 pavilions that are in front of that dance stage out in the park area. That was no cost to the county. And they've also done a lot of landscaping around it. So we've gotten to the point now, 5 or 6 years later, that this is a well-established venue. Next year, the operators of the park, of the theater, are going to have another 10 or 20-year renewable option because their 20-year lease expires in 2019. It was entered into in 1999. Every indication is pointing toward they're going to renew it. We don't have the option to opt out of it. They can just renew it. But more importantly, we continue to have more and more events out there on the grounds. There was a charity event last week, Thursday, out there that raised $1 million for charity. My point in all of this, and the reason that we're only requesting one person, not a staff of 7 or 8 like there was out there for many years, is we need a caretaker. We need somebody. We've invested in the theater operators have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars at no cost to the county. And we've got to maintain that investment. We need a grounds person out there, somebody that's going to take care of an issue in the restrooms, not inside the concert area, but in Independence building, someone that's going to take care of that and make sure that the lawn and the landscaping is being taken care of. So we feel this is a modest ask. Steve can speak to the financing of it, but the county does generate money from that park between the beverage contract that we have at Independence Hall and from leasing out the concert theater. It continues to draw more people every year, and because we feel it's well established and it's proven itself, we're asking for this modest request of adding a maintenance person, one caretaker of the entire complex. I'm happy to answer any questions other than the funding piece. I'll turn over to Steve.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano.
Mr. Delvin.
Hi, how are you?
Good, sir. How about yourself?
Good, doing well, thank you.
You're the same gentleman who stood in front of that microphone last year and said to me, this is a passive park.
Yes, it was. It
You're
still
saying
is a
it was.
passive park. It still
What has
is a
changed in
passive
1
park,
year?
But a lot more use. I mean, every year since 2012, more and more people are using the park's grounds. More and more people are using Independence Hall. It's our responsibility to take care of some of the amenities out there. We've invested money in landscaping, in pavement restoration, in parking in the back. Again, we need a caretaker. It is a county-owned facility.
When you mentioned, and I'm not, Mark, I'm not giving you, I don't want to give you a hard time, but my questions are, you talked about this LED lighting that they install at no cost to the county. Well, that's wonderful. Unfortunately, we pay the utility bills, and my constituents call me to say, hey, those lights are on 24/7. Somebody has to monitor that, and I don't know why the county doesn't. I get calls about how nasty it looks out there, that the johns are closed, the bathrooms are closed, people are defecating outside the buildings. All of a sudden, it went from a passive park because somebody invested money in it. Now they want us to invest in a maintenance supervisor. Why don't they share that with us with the cost?
Commissioner Romano, the theater operators are not asking for a maintenance supervisor. You're right. It's not right that people go out there and they walk through that park with their dogs or whoever or their family. They can't use a restroom because we don't have for lack of a better term, we don't have a caretaker out there to open and close them during business hours. Everything else, everything that is not part of the theater is our responsibility. And yes, the restrooms are closed every single day. And that's why there's a mess outside sometimes.
So you're saying if this is approved that the restrooms will be open?
Absolutely.
Do you have a time frame from when to when?
Well, probably during business hours. I mean, I don't think we want to employ them more than 8 hours. It's not our intent, and that cost is not reflected in here.
Who's doing the maintenance on the property now?
It's hit and a miss. And like to your comment, there's a mess outside. It doesn't look that good because we don't have a caretaker.
In my last question, maybe it's just me, but I've always been the money man. It seems like a lot of money for a maintenance supervisor. $80-some thousand are going to be involved in total, right?
No, the salary is about $56,000. That position was listed in the position summary financial that I provided. That's the base salary. Yes, there's benefits and other things involved in that, but I'm looking at the salary, and as a matter of fact, that position is going to be redlined or we're saving about $2,000 from what we pay maintenance supervisors in the county right now. That is an established classification in the county right now.
Just
It
to
has
let you know, I'm going to vote in favor of this because I'm going to have some happy people on my end because as you know, that's in my district.
absolutely.
And I'm going to have some happy people on my end to know just that the bathrooms are open and the fact that there's going to be some maintenance there. And if they're having a problem, I'm going to say, talk to Mr. Dell and he'll take care of it.
Perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have.
Okay, just before I call Commissioner Gillette, just to let everybody know, there are 7 speakers in line. Just keep that in mind. Thank you, Commissioner Gillette.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Mark. Big picture, are we, quote, making money, unquote, on the park at this time with the facility that's renting there or anything like that?
I'd have to have Steve.
Steve?
Steve does the financials for it.
Thanks.
We're not subsidizing it. That,
Right.
no, we're not
Are we making money on it? Are we subsidizing it? Where are we at with the?
Hit and miss. I mean, we're kind of breaking even on it. We're not making a lot of money. There was a point in time where I think where the general fund was contributing $150,000 or $160,000.
Okay.
But between the parking, the beverage contract,
Right.
ticket sales, advertising, and all those things.
You're probably going to say that we're making enough money to hire this caretaker. Is that generally what the case
Yeah,
would
there's
be?
already money in the maintenance budget.
Right,
We're just
okay.
transferring money from operations into personnel.
So this is not specific to this. Well, the next question is, can't we just pay the Freedom Hill amphitheater people an extra few bucks to have somebody open them and close the bathrooms every day? Wouldn't that be cheaper than $80,000 to have the bathrooms
It's
open?
more than just opening and closing the bathroom. It's cleaning the grounds, making sure that if there's a broken structure out there, that it gets addressed. They don't want anything to do with it. We've talked to them a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Not just to open up the bathrooms, but to see that the snow gets plowed,
Right.
the grass gets cut, and the entrance of the banquet hall looks presentable when somebody's going to have a wedding or something.
So
there's a lot more to it.
It's a little bigger picture then, but could we consider giving the park to Sterling Heights? They have a park and recreation
don't think-
department. They've got
With 7 other speakers in line, I don't think it's something that we could, that's probably a different meeting.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a different
but
meeting.
I'm not
but
sure
I'd
that they
like
want
to
it.
Put it out there that having a Parks and Rec department was essentially a park.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure it's worth it, but it has nothing to do with this specific request. But thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Toko.
Thank you. Mark, if I remember last year or the year before when we reviewed the lease for the Independence Hall, I remember thinking that their lease rate was very, very low. Is it still pretty low?
I think it's the same as when it was initiated, and it's $40,000 a year. Now, they don't use any of our equipment because all the original kitchen equipment was all taken out of that kitchen because it was no longer usable. So Andiamo's is not the caterer there anymore. It's Lakeland Manor. The folks that run Lakeland Manor in St. Clair Shores, I understand, is the new operator. We have nothing to do with that because the lease is with Luna Hillside, so they can determine who the caterer is going to be. But I don't know if it's low or not, but it's $40,000. Steve, is that correct? $40,000.
For the year?
Yeah, for the year.
So we're going to be, and that's where I'm having a little difficulty. We're going to be paying our maintenance person more than we're taking in on the lease of the building. Are they able to contribute anything to it?
Well, it isn't just to maintain Independence Hall. It's to take care of everything on that property that is not within the theater, the fenced-in theater area. So there's picnic tables out there. There's the pavilions out there. There's that band shell that's in front of the pavilions, and then there's all the landscaping. That is our asset, and it's the county's responsibility. Has nothing to do with the leaseholder inside the theater.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not to belabor this, but I would like the opportunity to either have you come up and make a presentation of the bigger picture of what's going on over there. I'd be happy to stop by your office. It's just, I don't even know if there's a Park and Rec board anymore, if it's defunct, if we've gotten rid of it, a lot of questions, and I'm not going to do it now. I understand what you're asking for, and it makes sense. When somebody mentioned $40,000, that's all we take in, yes, for that, but then you lease out for the festivals and the different things that the other
Yes.
Not gazebos, what do you
For the
call them?
festivals and whatnot, the
The
pavilions.
The pavilions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things that go on. I was just over there last week. So a lot of events and you're generating revenue for that. I understand you have to take care of it. I don't know how it's been done in the past. I know at one time it was the Drain Commission cut the grass, then it was the Department of Roads cut the grass. I mean, there was a lot of different people that were helping out, trying to do all this without one person actually running. So I understand what you're doing. It makes sense, but it'd be nice to see a bigger picture, long-term, what your plans are there.
Sure.
Thank you.
Be happy to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner Leonetti.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mark, good to see you. This question is actually for the chair. I'm looking on the budget. It's a procedural question. What does it mean when it's a waived item? On the agenda, I should say.
It was waived from, I believe, Don Brown's committee. I'm sorry. It should have gone to Don Brown's committee, and he waived it to my committee.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Thanks.
Commissioner Duge?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mark, well done. After everything's said and done, Freedom Hill used to cost us $1 million a year with 8 people there and so on and so forth. When we closed it down to make it a passive park, if you will, we had between 4 and 6 ethnic festivals there that lasted from Friday to Sunday, and basically it cost the county $1 million. That's why I went to a passive park. That's one. 2, if I'm not mistaken, I think Public Works used to cut the lawn and take care of the bathroom and so on if it needed it. And Independence Hall wasn't a viable facility when all this came down originally. We were fighting with Hillside as far as getting money for parking and so on and so forth. Our numbers were one thing, their numbers were another. I actually think this is a good idea because it makes it a viable park. It has somebody be responsible for it and keep an eye on it. If this is a year-round thing, that's fine and dandy. But I think there are enough events going on there, and it's generating enough funding going forward that it will generate more funds and pay for itself in the future. So I think this is a great idea, not a problem. Keep it going.
Yeah,
Thank you very
you.
much.
If I can just comment regarding Public Works. Public
Yeah.
Works used to assist out there quite a bit. They used to cut the grass and whatnot. Some of the Public Works, one of the previous elected officials served on the former Parks and Recreation Board, and so did one of his appointees. So yes, they chipped in out there. Interestingly enough, in the last year and a half, we found out that through our facilities department that Public Works used to cut a lot more grass throughout the county. But our current Public Works Commissioner wants, and they were using the drain crew to cut grass. The current Public Works Commissioner, God bless her, wants to focus on cleaning out drains and not cutting grass. So a lot of that now has been turned over to the county facilities department. It's been hard for us to argue it because that's what facilities is supposed to do. She wants to focus on the drain crew cleaning out drains, not cutting grass, which is a good thing.
When this whole started, we put a stop to this because, like I said, it was costing us $1 million a year. Yeah. And we weren't coming anywhere close to 40 grand, let alone any other money. I think the ethnic festivals were paying, if I'm not mistaken, it was $10,000 for the weekend.
The county, we look back at the records, we were definitely subsidizing
everything.
The County Board of Commissioners was definitely subsidizing those weekend festivals.
Yeah,
that's not the case anymore.
What
we charge them in for being there one day is what you would charge them for the whole weekend. I'm not, casting blame. I'm just saying we have fixed that, and the contract is up for renewal. The parks, and we'll be bringing that to you, and we're going to increase some of the rates because
it's
the
sorely needed
successfuls,
fixing.
the park
It's
looks
sorely
better than it
needed
ever
fixing.
has.
Yes.
At least in the 7 years that I've been here, and we want to keep it that way. But we've got to maintain the investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Smith.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Just to be quick, I use that park a lot. I ride my bike up there with my boys, and we use it all the time. And it's kind of suspect, right? Sometimes the grass is cut, sometimes it's not. But it's a park that represents us as
It's
a
our
county.
our only park.
Exactly, and I'm just hoping that, and I'm assuming that this position will turn that park into a park that looks nice sometimes, or, you know, half the time, to a park that is, you know, above reproach, so to speak, in the county, especially since we have one, and also probably allow us to attract more vendors to the park for different events. So I'm happy to hear about it. I think we're, you know, short on parks in this county by a lot, and the one we have, I think we should use to the max, and having a dedicated person seems to make sense. In the winter time, though, when maybe there's, you know, not so much snow plowing or any maintenance, is he just available, or that person, he or she, available for other,
To work elsewhere in the county if we need that person. But that'll be the time to go in and get some minor repairs done.
Sure, on
you
the
know,
insides.
inside the building, the restrooms or whatever. So,
Fine, thank you.
appreciate it. And again, one of the biggest reasons I'm requesting this is not for all the reasons that I've stated, but I don't want Commissioner Romano to get any more phone calls.
Understood.
See, you thought he was done speaking, but on the second round, Commissioner Romano.
I'll have the last word, Mark.
I thought I was going to have the last word.
I just want to respond to Commissioner Drollet, where he said, can we maybe just give the park to Sterling Heights? And I think you heard my comment. We don't want it. And the reason we don't want it is we did a study. The council did a study, and what it would take if we approached the county and said, hey, guys, let us take over that park. Hundreds of thousands of dollars just to maintain it. Just to maintain it. Let's just keep it without doing anything fancy. Excuse me, fancy to it. So, excuse me, even though I'm kind of objecting a little bit to the cost factor here for the maintenance supervisor, honestly, we're getting way on the cheap. And if he can do 80% of the job that should be done out there, I think everybody, don't forget, as Chair Smith said, it stops at the county. They look at us. They don't, when I get the calls and the city gets the calls, you know what they do? They pass the buck. Folks, it's not us. You want a problem with that park? Call the county. And you know who their county commissioner is? You're looking at them. And then I call back to the city and say, why are you guys doing that? And they say, because the county owns it. So again, I think we're getting away on the cheap if we're talking about dollars. Just having the maintenance supervisor, if he can do the job, honestly, we're saving thousands and thousands of dollars just by having that one gentleman there. Thanks, Chair, for the second time.
Thank you. On the second round, Commissioner Gillette.
I still want to give it to Sterling Heights. You've increased my incentive. But yeah, it's just been not anything to do with the current administration, the current folks who've done an amazingly good job tightening things up, but just historically, it's been a nightmare owning that park. Lawsuits, deficits, it's just been a nightmare. So if we can find a way out of this nightmare permanently, thankfully it's been run very significantly better over the last few years, and I appreciate the job you folks are doing in that regard, but still need to give it to Joe.
Remember, at the end of the
Okay.
day, it was a landfill and it'll always be a landfill. So it's not real marketable.
Okay, I don't have a motion on the floor yet, so I'm going to seek a motion moved by Duge, support by Carabelli. Any other speakers? Please vote. The motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Gillette voting no.
Thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, bypass item, purchase of military service time, Charles Medley, and this is moved by Carabelli, support by Lucido. Any questions? Please vote. The motion passes 12-0. Health and Human Service Committee recommendations, I don't remember anyone needing to pull one out. So I'll seek a, oh, there is?
I wonder if C might have been one that
C, and what did you want to pull out? Okay, then we'll vote on all three separately then. Okay, so I'll seek a motion for A. Is there a budget amendment, one, Office of Senior Services, Contract Services to part-time staff? Is there a motion? Motion by Lucido, supported by Romano. Yes.
Yeah. Looking at the letter that we got from Karen, these positions were not looked at. So I understand he's going to take them from contract services to part-time employees. The reason is because IRS concerns, but this hasn't been signed off by Human Resources. It's not in the letter that we had at all. I don't see that in the positions that were given to us from Karen last night's email. That would be my only concern with this.
I mean, are you asking somebody to speak to it? I don't have any.
Yeah. I guess Mark, I guess.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah,
The entire
So,
question.
throughout all these positions that we're looking at here this afternoon on the agenda, as Commissioner Carabelli would just repeatedly say, we wanted to have Human Resources sign off on them in terms of the compensation study and the pay range. These positions here, going from contract to part-time, I don't see in Karen's letter, her email to you that you forwarded to us, I don't see these positions in here. So I don't know if she was aware of them, if she had an opportunity to take a look at them.
Well, this consideration, and perhaps our service director, Carlin, can shed some light on it. Being that it was a contracted service, we never asked Siegel Waters to rank this position or to classify it, to study it, because it was a contract service. But now the directors of the department are asking and feel that we'd get more value if we took the contract service money and created a part-time position from it for whatever rationale was given in a previous committee meeting.
Well, I think part of it, it's more IRS compliance
Okay,
more
got
than
it.
anything else. Yeah, it's more IRS compliance.
I can assure you, based on whatever the position is going to be called, Human Resources, for all the years that we've been here, they're very methodical on how they classify a position. They look at the duties and the responsibilities and class it appropriately. And if there isn't already an established position, then they create one with the appropriate pay grade. Carlin, is there anything that you need to add or to that?
I would agree with that. Everything that's been said so far, this was outside of the classification study.
And again, how many positions are these? How many part-time positions are we going to have as a result of this, if you know?
I don't have that information.
I don't remember off the top of my head, Commissioner. I think it's 4 or 5.
Okay.
There's not a lot of these.
You know, and I don't mean to be a stickler on this one. This one, Gary came to us months ago on this one, and this is one of the things I said, well, okay, show me a little bit more information. Show me, where you're paying them in contract services under the line item. And I have no problem. I understand the IRS issues. It's just this one here, I just feel I'm not getting enough information. Maybe something a little bit more specific in terms of exactly how many positions we're talking about. And maybe if you can show me, this is one of the IFAS things that we talked about, show me in contract services, the line item where they're being paid this amount and all we're doing is switching it over now to wages. I have no problem with that. But today I have 2 problems. One, I haven't seen that line item from contract services. And 2, I haven't seen Human Resource sign off on this, and if that's what we've been kind of doing as a blanket policy, I guess I kind of like to see that for these positions as well. That's just my position today.
Yeah, we can get you the information.
Okay. I mean, even tomorrow, we're going to pass this on to the full board tomorrow. If something like that could be emailed to me, by tomorrow before 3, I'd feel comfortable with it. Okay. No, I appreciate that, Steve. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Duge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I'm not mistaken, this was one of the items that we couldn't put a number to how many people on it because people were going from one position to another position, and Gary couldn't put a number on how many people this actually entailed. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. This will nail it down as far as the amount of people and so on and so forth. But if I'm not mistaken, during our discussions, we couldn't nail down how many people this covered because it was the hourly business and people were doing different things on different days. And I think that had a lot to do with not being able to put a number for the amount of people on it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair Smith.
Thanks. So to Commissioner Leonetti's point, I'm just going to assume that since HR is here and that they have no problem with these positions, and they wouldn't need a sign off in the same respect that Commissioner Carabelli was looking for, because they weren't a position that was addressed in the class and compensation study. So just like Steve being here from finance, I assume that means they endorse, unless they would stand up and tell us otherwise, these positions as stated and as presented. So that's gonna be my take on this. My question though, and just to kind of follow up on your question, is Gary was a little confusing on a couple different occasions, where I think Rob just wants to know, just so I can make sure that you're saying what I hear, that we're taking, I don't know, let's just say $100,000 that was in contract service, and we're using that exact $100,000 or something very close to change that to contract workers. We're not taking 100,000, but we're really hiring 200,000 worth of part-time workers, and we're gonna pull some more money out of contract. I think you want to make sure that's kind of an even
The
changeover.
intention is to take dollar for dollar and move
That's
between
what I
categories.
think. That's what Rob was asking.
If I may.
Go ahead.
The only concern I have is, and I get that, if you look at contract services, it's a big number. And we've had these discussions before, and it includes a lot more than just these workers that are contracted. So it would just be easy for us to see, okay, I see now out of this big line item budget that you have, 4 or 5 workers that you're paying $100,000 for, and you're taking those 4 or 5 workers and putting them into $100,000 in wages. That's all I'm looking for. That's all I've been looking for from the beginning on this particular issue. Because what I don't want to have happen, and I know it's not going to happen, but we don't want to have him saying, well, I'm taking $200,000 out of contract services because that's what I was paying them, but he was really only paying them $100,000, and now we're paying new part-time employees a lot more than what we were paying them under contract.
Yeah, I
You see what I'm
don't
saying?
think that's happening at all.
I know that's not happening,
Yeah.
but just as a fiduciary, that's
Yeah,
what I feel is
can
my
lay it out a
obligation.
little bit.
Okay, all right,
Maybe more understandable.
okay, that'd be great. Thanks, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carabelli.
Just for clarification purposes, assuming the board here advances this to the full board for tomorrow, we will get you the information for clarification purposes to all the commissioners before 3 o'clock tomorrow. And if for some reason you're not satisfied or we can't get it to you, then you can pull this particular item. I would suggest that you pull it from the agenda until everybody's comfortable. Is that good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And on that note, it'd be important for Gary if he's able to be here. That'd be awesome, because my understanding is that we were taking the money from contract services and just using it to cover these costs. But as I go through the agenda, it's taking X amount of dollars from this fund, X amount of dollars from that fund, X amount of dollars from this fund, and I'm like, that's not what he had said. Maybe he misspoke. So it'll be important when we get back that he is here as well, if he can be invited, because he did say it was taking the exact dollar figures that you had mentioned, and it was covering this, but then you look at this, it's coming from 4 or 5 different funds, and I'm like, that's not what he had said.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him, contact him tomorrow.
Thank you, Commissioner Duge.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. It says here, increasing salaries and wages expenses with a corresponding decrease to contract services by $240,000. I don't know how much clearer it can get. There's only $240,000 that's getting moved. Period. Maybe I'm missing something really big, but that's what this says. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, I don't see any other speakers, so I'm gonna, please vote. Okay, the motion passes 12-0. Item B, Budget Amendment, Health Department Children's Special Health Care Services Grant Positions. Is there a motion? Moved by Romano, supported by Kraft. Okay, I thought somebody had questions on this. I don't see any questions. Okay, please vote. Motion passes 12-0. Item C, budget amendment, Health Department funding of position 1 public health nurse. Is there a motion? Motion by Lucido, support. Support by Toko. And, okay, I don't see. Nobody has any questions? Okay, please vote. Motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Drillette voting no. Infrastructure and Economic Development Committee recommendations. I already know that I'll be pulling out B. Is there any others that need to be pulled out?
A as well.
A? Okay. All right, so first I'll take a motion to approve C, D, and E in their entirety. Is there a motion? Moved by Drillette, supported by Duge. Please vote. Okay, the motion passes 12-0. So we're back to 11A, Budget Amendment, Information Technology Fund position. Is there a motion? So moved by Brown, support? I have no support. Oh, support by Lucido? Yeah. Okay, I don't see any speakers, so please vote. Motion passes 10-1 with Commissioner Drillette voting no. Item B, Budget Amendment, Planning and Economic Development, Fund Position 1 Associate Planner. Is there a motion? Moved by Carabelli, supported by Brown. Seeing no speakers, please vote. Item passes 10-1 with Commissioner Drillette voting no. Justice and Public Safety Committee recommendations. I'm pulling out B. Are there any others that anyone wants pulled out? Motion to move the rest of them in their entirety. Moved by Carabelli, supported by Drillette. Please vote. Motion passes 11-0. Okay, then item B, Budget Amendment, Sheriff's Office Fund Position, 1 part-time Fire Department EMS Liaison. Is there a motion? Moved by Duge. Is there support? Support by Kraft. Any questions? Please vote. Motion passes 10-1 with Commissioner Kleinfeld voting no. Item number 13, Government Operations Committee recommendations. Settlement agreement, case number 181035 and case number 17002092-CZ. Is there a motion to approve? Oh, they have to be separate? We can do it separately just to make sure. I mean, by voting on here, it is a roll call vote, but, okay, so we'll go with item A. Is there a motion? Moved by Carabelli, support by Duge. Please vote. Yes, I'm sorry. Motion passed 12-0. Item B, please, is there a motion? Moved by Romano, supported by Leonetti. Please vote. Motion passes 12-0. Correspondence, motion to receive and file correspondence, moved by Gillette, support by Lucido. Please vote. Motion passes 12-0. New business. Chair Smith.
Thanks. I just want to let everyone know that there is more discussion to be had with the executive's office. We've talked about it, about the DTR revolving fund for roads. We're going to be discussing that some more. We've been on the same page with at least that there needs to be more discussion before we put it on the agenda, and on the capital projects. If anyone's heard anything with roads or with Sheriff Department, I mean, we've explained to them that we are here to move things through, and that there's plenty of time on capital projects to get them to us. So we're still having a little bit of issue with that, but we are scheduling some meetings to move things forward. So I just want to let everyone know the progress, and if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But I always will email all of you on our progress on these things.
Thank you. Anyone else with new business? Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of presenting a tribute from the full board to Black Elementary, who worked in conjunction with the DIA. I guess the students there in the 4th and 5th grade had 4 visits to the DIA regarding some mural paintings, but they actually did it on small tiles, and they have 6 of them hanging in their cafeteria, and absolutely outstanding. These kids, you can't believe the job they did, but I made a presentation to them on behalf of the full board, and they were very appreciative of it. That's all I have. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. Commissioner Lucido. Thank you. Are there any other new business? Okay. Public participation. Does anyone wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close public participation. Motion to adjourn by Kraft, supported by Carabelli. Please vote.
Oh, he's got 84,000 motions to adjourn. I got it.